All right, all right, all right, all right. I figured it was time to uh quit the mixing it up in the live chat and actually get in here and talk some football on camera. How about that? So, welcome inside the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. We've got quite a bit to discuss tonight. Of course, it's a little bit quieter than usual on a Wednesday, just being that on a Thursday night game week, there's no media availability today. So that's part of the reason why I was running a little bit behind for my 6 Eastern previously scheduled slot. I was gathering content, or was I? That's up for debate. But here's what we will discuss. I think the Ravens are at somewhat of a disadvantage going into tomorrow night based on the officiating crew that's been assigned to Thursday Night Football. I'll tell and show you why coming up in this one. After that, we'll take a look at John Gruden, former NFL head coach, his thoughts on the Ravens defense, and he singles out number 21, Brandon Stevens, and we'll have to have a tough conversation about B. Steve. Unfortunately for Brandon, not only has he had a really tough start to this year from an assignment standpoint, going up against a lot of number ones, but then when you add in the fact that this front has not been getting consistent enough pressure, I think it's compounded some of the issues that he's been having in terms of ball location. So we'll get into that. We'll take a look at the numbers. And tonight's live stream is brought to you by one of my small business Patreon title sponsors, the folks at Lactose Vodka. And they are a Baltimore-based, patent-pending, high-alkaline, gluten-free premium vodka with added electrolytes. You can find a store near you by visiting lactosevodka.com/find Lactose, or just ask your local liquor store. You can find more on all of that included in the show notes. There is a link, and it'll get you where you need to be. So thanks to Lactose Vodka for the support. And go hit the show notes if you're interested in learning more. What I wanted to discuss today was something that our Bengals guest over on the Vault during the Ravens Lunch Hour live stream brought to our attention. And I wanted to shout out Jay Morrison for joining us as well from SI.com. We've had him on the show before from a Cincinnati perspective. But just keep this in mind going into tomorrow night. According to Jay's piece, the NFL's flag happiest crew will be working this Bengals Ravens game. Now, what does he mean by flag happiest? A guy named Clete Blakeman has the assignment, NFL official. This will be the first time he's seen both the Bengals and the Ravens this season. And he, along with his crew, lead the NFL in penalties called, averaging 16.3 per game. They also lead the NFL in penalty yards per game at 142.5. Okay, so this is a flag penalty happy driven officiating crew that's going to be in charge of refereeing this one tomorrow night. Let me just say those numbers once more. Clete Blakeman and his crew lead the NFL in penalties called. They average 16.3 per game. And they lead the NFL in penalty yards per game at 142.5. You might be asking, well, why the hell are the Ravens at a disadvantage, Bobby? Well, I think we got to point to the NFL rankings. The Ravens right now, through 9 weeks of football, that's a pretty decent sample size. It's no longer like, oh, that was just week one and they were dealing with the illegal formation bullshit in Kansas City. No, it's no longer just that and an inflated number. This is kind of who they are from a discipline standpoint. They rank 29th right now in penalties and 31st in penalty yards negated. They've been called for 69 penalties, which have negated 602 yards. That is the bottom corridor of the league, not where you want to be. Very unfamiliar in terms of John Harbaugh coach teams. And so just keep in mind here going into tomorrow night, especially when you look over on the other side of the aisle where the Cincinnati Bengals are. They're second in penalties, tied for second with just 41, and second in overall penalty yards with 335. I mean, that's night and day difference. 16.3 per game. The officiating crew are averaging called coming into tomorrow night. That's 142.5 penalty yards per game. Nobody wants to see the laundry on the field. Nobody wants to see game stoppage unless it's egregious. Keep it moving. And this is one of those areas that the Ravens must confront. They have to address this coming up tomorrow night if they want to play a clean game and have a chance to sweep the regular season series against Cincy and, of course, continue to down their hopes of becoming a playoff team. Joe Burrow and company come in at 4-5 overall. Ravens, of course, are 6-3. And here's a look at the injury report going into tomorrow night. T. Higgins is doubtful. He's missed a chunk of time here in recent weeks. He's dealing with a quad injury. Did not practice all week leading into tomorrow. Aside from T, and we'll get into life with and without T from a Jamar Chase perspective. But Orlando Brown Jr., their tackle, former Raven, dealing with a knee/fibula. He's listed as questionable. B.J. Hill, defensive tackle, also listed as questionable. Those are the big ones. Burrow's off the injury report. He was a full practice. Right wrist. He's been dealing with that all year long, but he's fine. He's playing great football. But the big one here is T. Higgins. Why? Because of the Jamar Chase effect that it has. Ryan Mink put some stuff together here. Jamar's numbers in 4 games without T. Higgins this season: 26 catches, 194 yards, and a touchdown. But look at what T's presence alone does for Jamar. Significant. 5 games with T, 29 catches, 523 yards, and 6 touchdowns. It's one less red zone threat. It's one less just threat in general. Bodes well for the Ravens, but at the same time, Jamar put up a $193 when these two teams met. I don't need to tell you guys twice. We all remember it. Just a few weeks back, Ravens really escaped like bandits from overtime, 41-38 in Cincinnati the first time around these two teams played. Jamar Chase lit up the Ravens secondary, 10 receptions for 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, an average of 19.3 yards per catch, the long of 70, which is just inexcusable. The Ravens gave up over 400 yards that day, 442. But it was one of those classic games where, in the end, you bend, but you don't break. You get a little lucky. Marlon Humphrey comes up with a play, and the rest is history, courtesy of Derrick Henry and a 51-yard burst in overtime that would eventually set up the game-winning chip shot from Justin Tucker. Cincinnati was 8 for 14 on third down. They played a clean game, penalty-wise, just 4 for 24. And it was a really even time of possession battle as well. The Ravens just edged Cincy 33-45, 33 minutes, 45 seconds. The Bengals possessed it for 32 minutes and 42 seconds. And if it weren't for that Joe Burrow interception, it really, it would have been just a ridiculous stat line for him. He threw 5 touchdowns that day. Lamar threw 4, and you get the sense that we're heading in a similar direction. As for the Ravens' availability, here's their injury report as of this afternoon. Isaiah Likely with a hamstring will miss his first game of the season. Bengals have had difficulty stopping tight ends, so perhaps it's a big week for Mark Andrews. I mean, that was my prediction last weekend against Denver, and then Zay Flowers decided to say, nah, I'm good. So no Isaiah, no Brent Urban, who remains in concussion protocol. Keaton Mitchell we'll get to in just a second. He's listed as questionable after being a full participant all week for the second consecutive week. Tylan Wallace and Broderick Washington have designations, but they're ready to roll in terms of their game status, as is Patrick McCary. Travis Jones was a full participant after dealing with that ankle. I wonder if they're going to let him loose after being sort of an emergency case basis guy and not playing at all against the Broncos. Adisa Isaac, full participant. Jalen Armour Davis is doubtful with a knee, and Rasheen Ali, the rookie, is questionable with an ankle that's been nagging him. As for number 34, will we see the debut of the second-year player and an undrafted rookie who burst onto the scene last year and gave the Ravens an element of speed, explosiveness, a little bit of everything, even in the passing game as well? Will we see him for the first time this year? As Luke Jones says, they have until 4 p.m. tomorrow, that's Thursday the 7th, to activate Keaton. He's in the middle of his 21-day practice window, and that expires next week. So he'd have to go back on the 53-man roster by then. Could this be the plan all along, that the fact that he's got a nice 10-day chunk with a mini bye week coming off Thursday Night Football, could this be the plan? Maybe. Sooner the better, so you can start to conserve Derrick Henry. I'm not saying that he's not capable of it. And I know he's probably got 2,000 plus rushing yards on his mind and Dickerson's single season record on his mind. But you know what I got on my mind? Ensuring this guy's durability, longevity, and stamina is ready to go come January when it really matters. Look at what these two are doing this year. Lamar and Joe, both over 2,200 passing yards through 9 weeks. 2,379 for Lamar, 2,244 for Joe. Both have thrown 20 passing touchdowns. What a testament this is, by the way, being that Joe has always been viewed as the surgical, prototypical, elite pocket passer. The fact that Lamar has never been viewed outside of Baltimore as those things, is neck and neck with him in these categories, tells you all you need to know. Completion percentage, 68.2 for Lamar, 70.2 for Joe. Lamar's passer rating is 120.7 to Joe's 108.1. If Burrow's defense would hold serve, he'd be squarely involved in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying he would be overtaking Lamar, but the Cincinnati defense, as the Ravens know a lot about from their previous matchup, has been susceptible. Touche for the Ravens, obviously, on their side as well. As far as the leaders on both teams, again, no T. Higgins. He is not expected to go. Mike Gesicki's coming off a successful game for Cincy in a win over Vegas. Jamar Chase leads the way for them in terms of receiving yards and catches. Zay Flowers, a top 5 receiver statistically, perhaps trending towards being the first ever homegrown Raven, drafted Raven, to earn a Pro Bowl nod in Baltimore. Derrick Henry leads the way and leads the league with over 1,000 rushing yards, 6.3 per carry. Lamar's got 505 on the year with 6 flat per carry. Marlon Humphrey's got 4 picks. That leads the way. Since he's got 6 different players with 1. Evan McPherson and Justin Tucker, certainly two of the standouts, but obviously Justin from 50 plus this year has been below average, which still is shocking. Look at what Trey Hendrickson's doing, game-wrecking mode, 11 total sacks. It's negated 79 yards from opponents. That leads the league. Kyle Van Noy is sitting at 6th overall in sacks, by the way, at 33 years of age, with 7 overall. Roquan Smith, 85 total tackles. Logan Wilson, right there. Of course, Logan at 88 was last year's culprit. The hip drop tackle that ended Mark Andrews' season, or at least took away the majority of the second half of his season on that Thursday night in Baltimore. And some other special teams nuggets as well, as you take a look. But how about the King? He continues to tote that thing. 1,052, leads the league. He'll turn 31 next month. Saquon below him at 925. Josh Jacobs in Green Bay is on this list. Jordan Mason in San Francisco has dropped off in recent weeks, but he is still a top 5 rusher. And Chuba Hubbard in Carolina just below Mason. Can the King continue to sustain? Had to have been pretty demoralizing from a Cincinnati perspective that they held him in check with 41 or 42 rushing yards through regulation the last time these two teams met. And Derrick finished with 92 on 15 carries. That 51-yard burst that I referenced in overtime is such a testament to why you can feel like you've done so well with him. You can feel like you've held him at bay and kept him honest throughout 4 quarters. And because he somehow ascends and gets better as the game goes along and finds that inner stamina, the dude forced, I think he had 12 or 13 forced missed tackles Sunday against Denver. That is a ridiculous number. Think about that. He's unrelenting. He will wear you out. And just when you think you've handled your assignment, he buries you come overtime. The Ravens have themselves a closer. But I think what we're all really excited and looking forward to is when Keaton Mitchell gets back into this lineup, albeit on a pitch count. That'll conserve Derrick Henry and ensure that he can give you all he's got when you need him in just a couple months from right now. Thanks for being with me here tonight on this Wednesday evening, just after 6:30 Eastern. Over 550 of you joining me concurrently across platforms. Please like the video if you're enjoying the show. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell if you haven't already done so. Captain Hard dropping in a super chat donation. Dude, Captain, you always hit these, man. I appreciate you. You're super engaged with both the vault and this channel. I appreciate it. Incoming stupid penalties. Shaking my head. Yeah, that was in reference to our opening topic on what the Ravens could be dealing with based on what they haven't been disciplined in this year, and that is penalties and penalty yards that have shot themselves in the foot at times. Statistically speaking, they're not where you want to be when it comes to penalties. 29th overall with 69 committed and 31st overall in penalty yards given up with 602. And when you've got the flag happiest crew coming to town, I don't love that recipe, but maybe something's got to give. You never know. Well, part of the reason why I was a little bit behind is because I had a chance to listen to former NFL head coach, former Monday Night Football analyst in the broadcast booth, and just a football guy in general, John Gruden, break down this game from his perspective. And I thought a couple different things really stood out to me. One, I don't know what you're going to think of this. Maybe you'll be happy that somebody on the national level spoke up on it, but it's about Brandon Stephens. Brandon Stephens is in the middle of a contract season for the Ravens. B. Steve is coming off a career year, and this is a big season for him when it comes to his future. This is year 4. Brandon was, I believe, make sure that I have this right. I want to say he was a 4th rounder out of SMU, but I want to say he was actually a 3rd rounder. And that's correct. He was a transfer from UCLA to SMU. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2021. And he's done a little bit of everything since he's gotten here, whether it be safety, corner, special teams. And don't forget, this is a converted running back at points throughout his college career. So he's very versatile. He's a team guy, always faces the music. I really enjoyed getting to know him when I had access to the locker room. Unfortunately for Brandon, he's been picked on this year, and no other cornerback on this defense has given up more yards than number 21. Right out of the gate, obviously they saw a murderer's row beginning of the season when it comes to quarterbacks, and hand in hand, who he was assigned to opposing team playmaker wise, really it gave him fits. And I think as John Gruden illustrates here, it's become pretty clear that maybe, just maybe, Brandon's got a little bit of a target on his back this year as somebody you want to test. Listen to Coach.
Here is Stevens, number 21, Brandon Stevens. Make a note of Stevens. He has really struggled this year finding the ball in the blind spot. He's playing the receiver. He's in perfect position. The ball's in the air, but he can't find it and play it. He's been beat for a lot of yards. If you just look at the quarterback rating alone against Stevens, it's one of the highest in all of football. I know where Joe Burrow's looking. He's looking at number 21, and Stevens has to be ready to start making some plays on the ball. There's a bullseye on him.
Oh, boy. All right. You heard it there from Coach. He has really struggled this year finding the ball in the blind spot, which we've all taken notice of. I know where Joe Burrow's looking. He's looking at number 21. There's a bullseye on him. That from Coach Gruden about what he's seen on tape from Brandon Stevens, and here are the numbers that back that up. He's logged 414 coverage snaps, 53 targets, a 7.8 number in terms of target per coverage snap. He's allowed 35 receptions of those 53 targets. He's giving up 11.8 yards per coverage snap, 514 in total. He does have one dropped interception, and opposing quarterbacks have a passer rating of 116.4. In other news, he's having a tough year, and no other cornerback on this team has given up more yards aside from number 21, as I mentioned a second ago. He does have 6 forced incompletions, 3 PBUs, and he's allowed 3 touchdowns. So, for what was, and he's still got a long way to go. And I really admire how fearless he is, how sticky he is, and how much he blankets himself to opposing playmakers. That said, he's given up some big plays this year, some pivotal plays. And in the middle of a contract year, you got to wonder, especially when the Ravens just went out and signed Tre'Davious White, or traded for Tre'Davious White, what is Brandon's imminent future in Baltimore? He's gone, in my mind, as someone who at the beginning of the year would be one of those dark horse candidates for the Ravens and Eric DeCosta to get out in front of and sign and extend, I should say, to somebody who I don't even know if he's going to be in Baltimore come next year. That's a tough reality for Brandon. Again, 414 coverage snaps. He's got a lot of work. He's done a lot for this team. He's done everything asked of him. Unfortunately, he's been on the wrong end of a number of different plays. A few come to mind, particularly when he had to face Terry McLaurin. That was a tough assignment for him that day in Baltimore. 53 targets, 35 receptions. 514 yards have been allowed. 3 touchdowns. And again, that passer rating is something that jumps off the page when you take a look at this from PFF. 116.4 passer rating for opposing quarterbacks that are targeting. You can see why Coach Gruden was like, this is the guy. He's got a bullseye on his back. Chad Spiegel says he just needs to learn to track the ball better. Jamari says damn near perfect passer rating. Dre Dog says, yikes, what happened to B. Steve? Now, I want to be fair here. We're getting after these numbers pretty good. But in the same breath, he and the rest of the secondary have been put in no man's land time and time again because of the lack of consistent pressure up front. You are forced to cover for seconds and seconds and seconds on end. And when you have tough assignments like Terry McLaurin, like Jamar Chase, like Devontae Adams, all of whom have been on Brandon Stevens' plate this year, and that's just to name a few. CeeDee Lamb, that's tough. Most NFL corners that are put in his shoes probably would be in the boat that B. Steve is right now. through 9 weeks. That's part of the harsh reality when you aren't getting home, when your interior defensive line is banged up, when your edge presence in Kyle Van Noy starts to get doubled and chipped. That's the reality of it. It's a tough world to live in from a secondary standpoint. Outside of Brandon Stephens, I found this to be interesting. And by the way, if you guys want to call in, there is a link that's included as a pinned comment in the live chat. I'll open up the guest lines in just a bit if you're interested. More from Coach Gruden, though, as I switch over to the offensive side of the ball. And this is not a drill, but Daniel Fa'alele was given some flowers by Coach Gruden based on what he's seen on film from the big fella, the right guard, 6'8", 300 plus pounds. You know, the experiment from a couple months ago. Do we owe this kid an apology? Listen to Coach.
Lele, the right guard, he is fun to watch. He's as big a right guard as you will see. He's moving his feet better. And Lamar Jackson's had a lot of time to throw, and a lot of that is because Fa'alele is moving his feet better and handling some of these twists and movements up front better.
Okay. Daniel Fa'alele getting singled out in the best of ways by Coach Gruden. He's fun to watch. He's as big a right guard as you will see. He's moving his feet better, and Lamar Jackson's had a lot of time to throw. And a lot of that is because Fa'alele is moving his feet better. There are still times, don't get me wrong, there are still reps where you just kind of sit there and you're scratching your head and you're thinking, oh man, he just got beat so badly that Lamar had to show off that escapability. Lamar had to show off the way that he evades pressure when the pocket collapses. And my, oh my, if that were any other quarterback, that play would be sunk. There have been plenty of those. At the same time, Fa'alele's opened up some holes in the rushing game. He's become an effective blocker. And I think he's using his feet, to Coach Gruden's point, better. He's become a little bit more of a mauler. It wasn't all that long ago, just over a month ago, that we were all kind of asking, I want to see him get physical. I want to see him get mean in the trenches. And I think Daniel showed that there is a reason why John Harbaugh and company have entrusted him, have given him this opportunity, have gone with the project, the experiment that was Daniel Fa'alele, who looked really, really newly minted and vulnerable after the first couple weeks of this season. But I got to give it to him. He's playing good football, and Coach Gruden got him. Chef says, you don't need apologies or thanks for doing your job. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look at what number 8 has done under pressure this season. Would not be surprised if Lou Anarumo starts dialing up more packages. You know, he did plenty of that the first time around when these two teams met. But Lamar torched him. You cannot blitz Lamar and expect to keep him at bay. According to PFF, he's got the highest graded quarterback rating when under pressure this season. He's thrown the most touchdown passes, and it's clean. No interceptions. Guy's only got 2 on the year. One of them was that bobble from Rashad Bateman. Lamar's playing at a ridiculous level right now. I think we all understand that. But what he's doing under pressure, the way that he's getting rid of the ball quickly, the windows that he's finding ways to fit footballs into, one that resulted in a Rashad Bateman drop this past Sunday against the Broncos, was just perfectly fitted in the tight window, and Bateman drops it right in the breadbasket. That's 3 drops in the last 2 weeks. That's tough. That's tough because of obviously where he was just a couple weeks ago with a career night on primetime Monday Night Football in Tampa Bay. But I think what Lamar's shown you is that his cadence, his understanding of the offense, his feel up at the line of scrimmage, and the way that he trusts some of his playmakers has allowed him to be lethal. when he's under pressure. Over 600 of you joining me tonight. We'll have some football coming up tomorrow, of course. Y'all know what's going on. 8:15. Give me your predictions in the live chat. Would love to hear them and see them. I'll be at the Baltimore Around Town tailgate for pregame coverage. Hope to see some of you guys out there. You can get your tickets at bmorearoundtown.com. All-inclusive bar, food, axe throwing, photo booths. You can hang with me and come on the show. They got a outdoor golf simulator. Tailgate's just been unbelievable of late, especially on Sunday for reasons that I think you guys know why. Let's go down to Mexico City. Surprised he hasn't invoiced me yet. Talk to me.
Hey, we need an update on those Madison Chronicles now.
Well, look at this. Richard Hasmodius feels the same way. He's hit me with a super chat donation. Any marriage plans yet, Bobby? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. I do have a few ring spots in mind that not for Madison. I mean, who knows where life takes us, right? But I'll say this. There's a few that I've worked with in the past when I was in radio that I've kind of kept bookmarked as a potential place maybe to work with when ring shopping days do come around. How about that?
That's good. Just 2 questions before football. Well, 2 things, actually more. One, does she approve of the stash? And second of all, don't forget, you were the one that actually put in Madison said, hey, my future wife is over there. Let me have a word with her.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. The stash has not been discussed. I decided to keep it today at the barbershop. I got the high and tight today for Thursday night coming up tomorrow. So I guess we'll have to see about that. My mother's in town for the next 9 days, so it'll be very curious when we're all under the same roof how many FaceTimes there will be. Again, there's been back-to-back FaceTimes, as we all know. And I would assume this guy wants in on the conversation. So let's get the main man of the hour, Asmodeus, involved here, Mr. Wingman of the
Golden
Year.
Wingman.
That's right.
What's up?
The pimp daddy. Here he is in the building. Richard's looking slick, too. What you doing tonight?
I'm going to basically like a Bible study type of thing.
Okay. That was not what I expected, but enjoy yourself. By the way, are you spoken for?
Am I soaking for?
Are you spoken for? Do you have a significant other?
No.
Okay. I think that you, me, her, and Caitlin should all go on a double date.
Double date. There it is. If Madison is watching this live or later, in the comments, double date.
Oh, she's watching too. I'm telling you, when we were chilling, when we were on the FaceTime last night watching election coverage and whatnot, she goes, there was like silence for a second, and I was like, wasn't paying attention, and she goes, so you think I'm an old soul, huh? And I was like, oh wow, you actually listen to this. You listen to this stuff. Anyway, what's on your mind, guys, tonight? Ahead of Thursday night. Quick, short week, obviously. Quick turnaround. What's going on, Richard?
So I mean, I would say, I'm just looking forward to the game. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. My gut is telling me it's going to be the same as the previous game that we had, where it turns into a shootout. Which at that point, it's kind of whoever has the ball last is going to win. But it's also, there's a part of me that's wondering maybe this goes the opposite way entirely, and this becomes a defensive game.
Yeah.
While all of a sudden the defense is stopping these offenses. It would be just like the Ravens for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Brandon Stevens is getting all this attention, this negative press from the media, and all of a sudden he balls out and gets an interception or two. It would just be like the Ravens for that to happen. So I really don't know how this game's going to go, but I think it's going to be very exciting. I think this is going to be one of the better Thursday night football games, which there haven't been many of them. So hopefully the rest of America enjoys it.
They're all shit. Let's be honest. Most of them are shit, which is unfortunate.
They're not all shit because tomorrow's going to be badass. Now the other ones, yeah, I agree.
Fair.
I think I'm with Asmodeus on this one, but I feel it's going to be either a shootout or a Ravens dominance, because even though it's at home, but Kyle Van Noy taking to Twitter, calling out the fans, say, hey, don't point the finger at us just because we're not getting into it. It's like, we're gonna get into it. Well, Thursday is a day to actually showcase us, not to the league, but us Ravens fans, that we have been harping on getting another pass rusher. Your defensive scheme is trash or beyond trash. And I feel like if that's going to happen, if it's going to be Ravens dominance like we saw Sunday night with Buffalo Bills, I think heading into this mini bye not only helps you, get motivated for next week's, but also it might help you rest not just your body but your mind. It's like, okay, I got more days to prepare. I got more things to work on, and I feel good of what we did.
I'm going to tell you guys
I
a
don't know
quick
you,
story.
Jeff.
I'm going to tell you guys a quick story, and we welcome Chef in here for a 4-person breakdown right now, because why not? As you guys know, some of you guys watched the preview episode earlier today with Jay Morrison from the Bengals beat community, and I picked the Bengals. And the reason why, because in my mind, they're a desperate team. Now, Jay, who covers them on a daily basis, says that they have a sense of urgency. They're an urgent team. Okay, there's a difference between a sense of urgency, obviously, and utter desperation. But I picked the Bengals because, one, I've always believed that they were going to split the season series in terms of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I don't trust right now a couple different things. One, the interior defensive line, given that Wormley and Tupou probably will be logging more snaps with, even though Travis Jones doesn't have any designation, meaning he's good to go. I don't know if I trust that ankle right now. Brent Urban is in concussion protocol. Big Mike Pierce is obviously down for the foreseeable future. And then on the flip side, we all know how much of a game wrecker Trey Hendrickson is. And it would not surprise me if this offensive line, particularly Ronnie Stanley, or on the right-hand side, wherever Trey ends up lining up over Rosengarten, wherever he ends up, I think he's going to have a similar type of impact to how Myles Garrett did. And so I got 30-28 Cincy. I got a pretty funny text after my prediction went out there, and it was from one Mr. Derrick Hamilton.
Ooh.
And that's Kyle's father. And Derrick, whenever his name pops up, of course you're paying attention, right? And he says, I watch your pod all the time. Why do you always pick against us, bro?
Hey, I think he needs just a little reminder. Like, Bobby wants to go to Ravens, be a Ravens fan, but because of what he does, he cannot be. Therefore, he has to be neutral, even though he doesn't want to.
So I said, and I love Derrick. He's the man. Played professional basketball overseas. He's been on the show before. And obviously his son is all world. We all know that. I said, Derrick, it's only the second time I've picked against them the entire season. I try to be objective and not a fanboy, as everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Since he's desperate, he goes, but you're wrong a lot. He goes, we're 8-1 against Joe Burrow.
9.
I said, what's that have to do? Is it 9-1?
9-1 against the Bengals, and
it's 5-1 against Joe Burrow, right?
Well, all I care
Lamar
about
and Burrow
is the head-to-head.
5-1.
All I care about is the head-to-head. Lamar and Burrow. Lamar is 5-1 in head-to-heads. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of which, of course, was the wrist when he left. What, at the end of the first half? Or I can't remember when that injury happened.
It was the end of the first half that he landed on his wrist. So
it might have even been the first quarter. It was very early on in that game.
Okay.
It was at the beginning of the second quarter that he left because he couldn't throw the ball.
The only reason I bring that stuff up is because obviously Cincinnati and all the Bengals, when you say it's 5-1, they're like, well, he didn't play for a half in one of those. Okay, well, whatever. So then I go, what's that have to do with tomorrow? Burrow hung 38 last time around and 400-plus yards. The Ravens got lucky to walk away with a W, as both 14 and 44 said this week. Remember, Kyle and Marlon were very clear through the media this week. While they didn't use the word luck, they said they don't feel like they should have won that game. And I agree with them. And so I think it comes around full circle. Chef, let's get you involved here. Give us your prediction. You're feeling going into tomorrow night.
I would kind of push back on that a little bit. I feel like this time around is going to be different. More so in the terms of the Ravens defense is going to step up. I feel like they simplified some of the defense play calls and what they were doing last week, and it was working. You took Eddie Jackson out, things start to flow a little bit better. So I actually think they might be playing with a little chip on their shoulder. They might have a little Bobby feng shui to them, a little Bobby swagger.
Well, I'm guessing he probably screenshot that Derrick did and sent it over to Kyle, and he's probably like, "Wait a second, we're supposed to be ambassadors of the same car dealership here in town at Preston, and you're picking against us this week." I bet you he's got on a little bit of bulletin board material. No, I don't think that highly of myself. I don't think he even knows that I'm picking them. But hey, that's what I'm thinking. 30-28. Let's go across the room here, guys. You get your predictions. We'll get you out of here.
You go first, Asmodeus.
Oh, all right, I'll go.
Oh, you take this, Asmodeus.
Richard, you mother.
Kick your wingman.
All right, I'll go first. So I'd say, I think this is gonna be one of those games where Lamar is showcasing his arm, as well as Derrick Henry complimenting him, just punishing the Bengals defense. So I'm gonna say I'm thinking 38-30.
Oh my Lord. Okay. All right, Richard, how about you?
From the score standpoint, I'm gonna say 35-21. Ravens.
35-21. And Mr. Mexico?
I got 2 scores. If it comes to a shootout, I think it's going to be closer to what we had last time. So it's going to be like
full timeout. I need a full timeout on the floor, please. Put the lights on. We're at Maryland College Park. Full. No 30 seconds. You guys sit down. Nobody stands up in the huddle. I need a full timeout. You're giving me 2?
Yes. I'm giving you 2 because of the possibility.
What the? Son of a.
I want to revise my. Nah, just kidding.
Hey,
go ahead.
Both of them are in the Ravens' favor, but it's like if it goes to a shootout, it's going to be 38-35 by the leg of Tucker, not missing. And if the Ravens' defense, if Derrick passes the message to Kyle and Kyle fires up the defense, then it's going to be a 41-7.
All right. You heard it here first. Mr.
I like his second one better.
You know what? I'm going to do that the next time that Sarah asks me for our prediction next week. When she says that, I'm going to be like, "Hey, Sarah, I got 2 different situational scenarios to run by you and see what she says." I guarantee you she will blow a gasket, and I'm going to be here for it.
I do want to say, yesterday, I've kind of warmed up to the Tre'Davious White signing. I think it kind of falls in the same realm as like the OBJ thing, whereas like OBJ is a savvy wide receiver and he, taught Zay and Bateman some stuff. I feel like he would probably do the same along the secondary. I still wanted to see Calais Campbell just because it helps more with the interior defense, with run stop and as well as just getting a push for interior pressure, but it is what it is.
Well,
yeah, I would have loved Calais and Yannick back together.
Calais and Unique. That's right. Yeah. And instead, Calais is chilling in no man's land right now with the Dolphins, what's their record? They can't be even in the postseason picture right now, are they?
I think they have 2
I haven't
wins.
paid attention much since Tua went down. Yeah.
I think they had 2 wins. They may have 3.
I think that. Yeah, honestly, the thing that's a bummer about that, they're 2-6 right now. Buffalo's got control over that division like no tomorrow. But we'll see if the Jets can make a push. This is actually a horrific division. Buffalo's the only the team that's above 500, and obviously they're comfortably above 500. They've won 4 in a row at 7-2. I still can't believe the Ravens throttled them the way they did on Sunday Night Football. But I don't know if we're going to see Tre'Davious at all on a short week. Flew in from Los Angeles. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not even active, to be honest. Well, maybe not active, but just kind of like the Deontay thing. Let's get him a couple snaps here and there, or we'll just dress him, and if we really, really need him, we'll use him. But
I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Deontay targets now, since it's been a week. So maybe we see Deontay and Say at the same time, and who are you going to cover?
Well, guess what? If Bateman continues to do what he's doing, 3 drops in the last 2 weeks, look out.
Then you're Nelson Aguilar?
Look out.
I don't know. I don't know if that's really a trend, though. I mean, last week, yeah, that was tough. I mean, that was, scramble drill kind of thing happening again. It did hit him in both his hands, and then it seemed like he took 2 steps and then dropped the ball. But I don't know if it's really been a trend with what he's done so far, and a little bit off of last year too. But again, I'm just trying to be optimistic. I came into the season on the Bateman hype train, and I don't want to get off because it's scary down there.
Oh, it's dark and scary, the depths of hell. I mean, look, I don't want to call it a trend either. I just want to make sure to call it out. The fact that it was, 2 third down drops, key situations in Cleveland. Either one of those you haul in, you probably win the game, for one. And then 2, obviously, it wasn't a big deal in a 41-10 ball game. But man, that was like a tight window throw from Lamar on a day that he was flirting with a perfect passer rating, and he ended up getting away with it. It just would have been nice to haul that one in. So the Rashad Bateman experience continues. How about that?
I think I remember this from the Twitter Spaces last year. Somebody said that Rashad is not a street ball player like Isaiah, like in away was Marquise Brown. When the play breaks down and it's like street ball, yeah, they know how to operate. And I think Rashad doesn't operate that well on street ball. So
that might have something else to say about that. The Tampa Bay tape would say something differently about that.
Well, the Browns tape is more recent.
But I think that's more of a Lamar and Rashad finally getting that chemistry and being on point. Because, I mean, you look at Rashad, that was a EDC sign, like an EDC draft and everything. But then you look at Zay, and, the reports that came out that Lamar was just like, give Zay flowers, and immediately they were just clicking. Then, I mean, you also look at, his chemistry with Nelson Aguilar, and it's something about that Florida connection where it's just like, it's just innate. They just have that kind of ability, that sixth sense, that that it factor kind of to it. So
is this boy awake right here? Guy awake?
I just woke up, honestly, not too long ago.
I wanted to catch you off guard because I know last night this guy was tripping. He was saying names and mispronouncing things. I can't remember what you said last night, but you said something.
I forgot what I was saying yesterday. I was really, really tired yesterday. I was just working a lot. But, well,
Richard, if you got to go to your event, go ahead, brother.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night.
Thanks, dude.
All right, see you.
Mr. Wingman in the night. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Jewel, talk to me.
Well,
any of you guys, if you need to drop off, obviously do what you need to do.
Well, this game, I mean, it's gonna be a close one. Some people are saying it's gonna be like a little shootout. I would say it's gonna be like really relatively close. May go into another overtime situation. But it all depends on how the defense plays, because Joe Burrow can easily light us up again. Now, T. Higgins is not going to play in this game, which is big for us, but that doesn't mean that, we should have any drop off there. So it all depends on how the pass rush plays and how basically the defense plays. That's where I'm looking at in this game.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if you're Zach Orr, you better be very, 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 very mindful of and mindful of the timeliness when you choose to blitz this guy. Because just like Lamar, he will make you pay. Yeah. And I get it. Maulette can be really savvy in those situations. Darius has shown some ability as a DB blitzer from here and there. And obviously, we know Kyle Hamilton can just close in on you with his wingspan and tracking speed and whatnot. He covers great ground. But you have got to be careful and you got to be mindful of how much you choose to press that button because Joe will make you pay.
Easily. I mean, he will eat the blitz up. Every time we blitzed him the last time, it just seemed like it didn't work at all. It was like I don't even know if he got touched the last time we played him. Well, he did, guys. I think we got a.
No, he didn't get touched.
Are you asking for sacks the first time around?
Yeah, we
They
get
got to him.
sacks?
They got to him 3 times.
I know he got some sacks and quarterback hits, but it was just, I think it was more so he wasn't disrupted by the pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been savvy and good in the pocket and everything, and always able to keep his composure. Even from Mike McDonald, even though last season he only played a half, but even then, I mean, he was still hanging in the pocket making throws.
Right.
But again, I mean, I feel like this game's going to be different defensively. I mean, come Friday, probably be wrong. Who knows? He might put up a Jackson 5 on Lamar. I mean, who knows? But
hey, give me 1 second here. Hey, Marquez, there's a live chat link. Call in. Come run that mouth on the show. Let's go. 3 sacks.
Oh gosh.
Three
here
sacks.
we go. Just let me.
Okay.
Tell him to pull up, man.
Hold up a second. So those 3 sacks that I referenced, Kyle Hamilton, Nnamdi Madubuike, and Tavius Robinson. But again, the pressure, the sacks come in bunches. There has not been nearly consistent enough pressure. And we've seen it now for weeks. Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston, Bo Nix having all kinds of time in the pocket. If you allow Joe Burrow to sit back there, he will pick you apart. I know you guys hate when I say this. He is surgical in the pocket. You got to be mindful of those blitz packages.
Yeah, definitely. He is more of disguising coverage than anything instead of just blitzing this guy all the time. Because if he disguises the coverage more better, then he will hold the ball better. But it all depends on how the defensive front gets pressure on him. And that's the problem. That's been the problem these past couple of games and basically all season. We have not gotten pressure on a lot of the quarterbacks that we faced this year. Besides Josh Allen, a little that game, but the rest of them is like ever since Joe Burrow lit us up that game, it's just like a continuation of that trend for this defense. And they're going to have to just say to themselves, "All right, enough is enough." Eventually, enough is going to have to be enough. I don't know when, but it has to be enough.
I got a question for you, Julian and Chef, because we know that the Bengals are in desperation mode. How much the desperation is a mental factor on trying not to make mistakes, and in the end, it makes you make mistakes.
Well, I'll go ahead and put my my purple glasses on. It's gonna be purple rising. I think Joe Burrow's going into the stadium knowing he's gonna lose because we're gonna be wearing all purple with a little bit of gold. But like
Get your homer ass off my show. Get your homer mentality ass off this
look,
show.
Look. I'm just kidding.
I mean, shit, man.
Come on, be real.
But
come on, bro.
Didn't I send you a contract, mother effer?
Look, to be serious though. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of pressure. Obviously, it's always tough to play in the bank, but just with it being a divisional game, on top of them being third in the division, I mean, I think they're fighting with middle of the pack teams just for a wild card spot at the moment. I mean, who knows how the rest of the season is going to play out? But I mean, it's a whole lot of pressure. I mean, I think all the AFC teams, AFC North teams, minus the Steelers, are 1-1. So you want to have that tiebreaker. That's a given. So
without question.
Yeah, you definitely want to get up on your division rounds, and then you want to sweep the Bengals. Obviously, you want to do that. You already dropped the game against the Browns. You don't want to drop another one, another divisional game, because then you'll be what, 1-2.
Hey, these guys got 3 AFC losses already. I mean, their
Yeah.
3 losses are all in the AFC.
Yeah, you want to just drive the dagger on them even more. Just put a fork basically in their like season. That means they'll probably make the wild card, maybe, but this is gonna like really damage their chances even more if you beat them. So this is
Hey,
definitely
remember what looms. Remember, after the mini bye, you travel to Pittsburgh
Yep.
in week 11, and then you go on the road the following Monday for the Harbaugh Bowl, week 12. So
And that's going to be interesting.
tough stretch.
it's an
I
interesting
feel
month.
like,
There's actually only 4. Actually, I was going to say there was only 3, but there are 4 games in the month of November, but they're spread out, right? Because whenever that mini bye comes in, it ends up hopefully helping guys like Travis Jones, guys like Big Mike Pierce, even though you're probably not going to see him until December,
Yeah,
I would think.
Brett.
So
I got a question because I saw
Brett
this in
Orban.
the
Brent.
comments earlier. But what happened to Baby Deer? Kadir.
Oh, Kadir.
Yeah, his nickname is Baby Deer.
Kadir had a practice injury. So
When did that happen? I don't remember that.
Oh gosh, I guess that would
Was
have
that
been.
was that kind of like one of the, I guess, handshake deals under the table so we can make sure another team doesn't scoop you up, or was it
That's a great question. To be honest with you, it was October 18th is the date that I just looked up here. This was one of those things that not got swapped under the rug. And to be honest with you, I haven't gotten together with Q in a long time, so I haven't really gotten the full breakdown. But yeah, he was placed on injured reserve mid-October, and I'm just not going to speak on something I don't know anything about. So yeah,
I think we need to ask Q about that if he's willing to talk, or if he cannot just give us a hint.
You know what? Because it's practice squad, they don't divulge anything. So I don't even know if we have a specific injury, like what the actual injury itself is. And without knowing those details, I'll just leave it at that.
I thought it was a hamstring injury last time, but I guess I don't know.
So,
hey, well, I mean, it's been real, Bobby. I gotta get back to work. I gotta do
Chef.
some actual
All right,
IT stuff
Chef.
so I can get
See you,
paid.
Chef.
All right,
I'll
Chef.
see you. I'll see you at Be More Around Town. I have my purple lenses on. Talking
Good,
about
I'm gonna
how
take 'em
I
off
can't
and
believe
step
you
on
picked the Bengals. But all
I
right,
can't wait to see you, man. Look forward to it. Come find me. You know where I'll be. You know where I'll be. Oh, gentlemen, anything else before we jump?
I think we covered everything, didn't we?
Live chat. Any election-based questions? Any Madison-based questions? Anything?
I think more so Madison questions.
Yeah. So what's going on with that, Bobby? I wanted to ask you about what's the update on that, Madison.
The update?
Any update?
2 FaceTimes back-to-back nights that went over an hour.
That's nice.
Things are clicking. I mean, she's 23, so that's definitely a little bit of an age gap there. But as I mentioned in the show earlier in the week, I do kind of feel like she has an old soul to her. Lives in Nashville. Her father works and has a place up here somewhere in the city. I don't know where it is. So that might be cool if I end up flying her up. Spoiler alert. If that ends up happening, and maybe like her father's either there or not, maybe that ends up being somewhere where she can crash. So there's not that awkwardness of the first time you get together with somebody. Hey, do you want to crash at my place in my spare bedroom? Like, whatever. Or in the same bed, you never know. But, no, you know what I mean though? Like it takes it kind of temper it sort of lightens that expectation going into, day one or whatever. So yeah. So my mom's in town for the next 9 days. So I don't really know what kind of, interactions there's going to be, but I think she's cool and I'm ready to keep experimenting.
Hey, you met her parents. Now it's time for her to meet your parents. So
it's hysterical that all on day one, and then like I got follows from her aunt. I got follows from, a couple of the friends, and then like her best friend's father is the soccer coach at Loyola, who when I worked for the athletics department, I like interviewed him a bunch of times, and I know him, and I didn't even know this, but like I had his cell phone. So then he texted me yesterday randomly. I've not texted this guy in years, and he texted me yesterday with the link. Did I just meet my future wife? And he was just like, well, this is a small world. So, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Oh man.
So, yeah, all in good fun. We're just kind of grinding through the season, and good to have Madre with me here this next week plus. Got a wedding this weekend. Obviously tomorrow is going to be a grind. We'll do the noon Eastern show, pregame at B-More at 6 o'clock. I'll race across town to watch the game as I always do here in studio. And then around midnight or so is typically when we launch the post game. So yeah, that's about it.
Oh, cool. Well, I will be at that game tomorrow. If I'm able to stop past, I will. But knowing me and my aunt are going, she probably want to get to her seat. She's like really impatient. So
Yep.
Yeah,
You always know there'll be other options.
Yeah. But I'm going to the Steeler game, so more than likely I will see you there at that one.
Yep.
But unfortunately, my cousin's going to go too because he's a Steeler fan. Unfortunately, so
all right. Well,
yeah. So
I look forward to it, gentlemen.
The black sheep of the family.
He always got to be that one. It's just him. Like everybody else in my family likes the Ravens. He's like, no, I'm gonna be different. So whatever.
Well, hey, there's always one of them.
There's always one. I hate it.
Yep.
It's all right. It's okay though.
All right, fellas. Well, it was good hanging with you guys. Appreciate the calls.
All right, Bobby.
Hey, no
Talk
problem,
soon.
Bobby. Hey,
See
good
you
luck over there.
Later. All right, sounds good. Talk to you soon. I appreciate you guys for spending some time with me tonight, getting ready for Thursday Night Football, of course, as always. If you haven't already done so, I would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord community, which is a 24/7 hub for conversation surrounding Baltimore sports. And there is just constantly chatter and activity going on in here related to Baltimore sports. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the link to join. It is free to do so in the live chat. There's general chatter. There's football chatter, baseball chatter. There's a suggestions box. You can voice chat me. It's a great way to hang out. Let's just do this. The link to pop on, I just dropped it into the live chat. Would love to get this number up to 1,000 group members by the end of the season. As always, you can connect with me on Instagram as well, at Bobby Baltimore. Twitter is the same handle. You guys know where to reach me. So with that, we'll get together soon. And by soon, I mean tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern, when Sarah and I have our Ravens lunch hour live stream to get ready for game day. Go check out the game preview, Bengals, Ravens, with Jay Morrison from the Cincinnati perspective. And until then, thanks to Light Dose Vodka for sponsoring this episode. Thanks to all my guests. And thanks to all 800 plus of you joining me concurrently right now on this Wednesday evening. All right, people. Catch up with you soon. Later.